Hello, everyone. It's time for a team training for the Oklahoma Housing Needs Assessment Project. And this lesson is entitled Joining Census Data. And if you've been watching some of the previous videos, this is sort of a key one because it brings together a lot of the different lessons that we've used so far and integrates them. And in our prototype model flowchart, in this lesson, we're going to use the boundary data, the variable data, the GIS software. We're going to, join the data, bring it in, and do some data processing too. So, there's some review here, but there's also some new material. And the other thing is we're going to use the census data that we have downloaded from the census geography and census data lessons, and joining them together is not as straightforward as maybe our lesson on joining and relating tables was. We're going to have to do some data processing. So let's go ahead and get started. And the first thing I want to do is take you back here to the census website. We need some TigerLine shapefiles. These are the map files that go into ArcGIS. And you can go to census.gov geographies and go to the TigerLine shapefile page. And we're going to use some data that we downloaded before from 2022. And if we want to get the shape files for these, we go to that year, and then we'll use the web interface here, and you can see, okay, select the layer type. So for instance, if we want counties, we can submit that. And then it lets us download the national file, okay? And so what's interesting here is it downloads all of the counties in the whole country. So some of these will let you narrow it down and others will not. And now, I'm also going to grab the census tracts, and when you get the census tracts, it lets you select a state. So we'll get Oklahoma, and once again, hit the download, and it will download the files. So these are the files we're going to use when we get into ArcMap. And so let's go there now. And I've got a map already open. And so what we're seeing here is I have sort of a base map made that I made before the lesson. And all that's really showing here is that we have a shapefile that has the state of Oklahoma in it. And so what I want to do is I want to add the shapefiles that we just downloaded. And to do that, I'm going to hit the add data, and I've got these now stored. I'm going to have to navigate here a little bit to the GIS file, and I already have a geodatabase constructed for this, and we haven't gone over how to do that yet, but we will in a later lesson. At any rate, I'm going to add my census tracts here. Or I'm sorry, I'm going to add my counties. And there's my TigerLine data, counties, there's the county shapefile. And I add that in there, and I'm going to drag this down here so that we can put the outline of the state on top there. So you can kind of see, all right, so I have all my counties. And as I pointed out, when we downloaded this, all of the counties are showing for the entire country. And so we can use that, but if we want to isolate the Oklahoma counties, we're going to have to do a little geoprocessing. And geoprocessing is something, it's of a new topic. We haven't done that, and it's a very complicated topic, and I will be adding some lessons on that coming up. But for our purposes here, we're just going to go up to geoprocessing, and there are several of the very most common geoprocessing tasks up here. And so I'm going to say, hey, we want to clip this. We want to take the county file, right? That's our input feature. And most of these geoprocessings are going to be geoprocessing tasks are like this, or they have sort of a fill in the blank character to them. They also have this nice tool help you can bring up if you want to see, okay, we're going to input, we're going to clip, and then we're going to output. I don't know if you saw that because it opened up a different window on the internet, but at any rate, what we want to clip with is the boundary of the state. And then it's going to ask me, okay, where do you want to save this? And we have control over that, of course. And I'm just going to save it here as a feature class, and we'll call it Oklahoma counties. And save, and then we'll hit OK. And then this will take a few moments because it's clipping a big file. And after it's done, it should add it right into our map. There we go. And so you can clearly see here that it has clipped the counties from outside of Oklahoma. And I can turn that layer off now. And you can see that, hey, now we got a nice map of Oklahoma with all the counties showing. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is add my census tracts to this. And go back here and find the census tracts. There's that shapefile. And these are just the tiger line files. So you can see here the census tracts. Again, I'm going to drag this down so it's beneath the boundaries here. Okay, and I'm going to change my symbology here. I'm going to make the counties a transparent or no fill, right? So we can see that. All right. All right, so now we've got our census tracts underneath our counties and above our and under our state boundaries. So what we're interested in doing, if you remember when I downloaded the census data in a previous lesson, I asked for the population data from the American Community Survey for the for Tulsa County. Okay, and Tulsa County is up here in the northeastern part of the state. And so what I have right now is all of the census tracts identified here in the whole state. So maybe I want to narrow these down. And to do that, I can use what we learned in a previous lesson called a location query. Okay, so I'm going to select my county layer, and I'm going to go select by location. Or wait a second, hold on a second. Got to do a select by attributes first. So a select by attributes, and I've got to say, all right, so I'm going to use counties here, my Oklahoma counties, and then I'm going to say I want the name equal, get all the unique values, and Tulsa, right? So I got to specify that first. Then I can start my location query. So I go select by location. All right. And I'm going to select features from my Oklahoma census tracts that I got from the census. And then I'm going to use Oklahoma counties as my source layer. And I've got that seems to be grayed out here. So hold on a second. Let me go check in my selected features. Okay, so I do not have need those selected. Okay. There we go. All right. So now what I'm doing here is my target layers, census tract layers, and then I'm going to use Oklahoma counties as my source counties, and I'm going to use the selected features, in other words, Tulsa County. And then I'm going to say, okay, I want all the census tracts that have their centroid in the source layer, and I'm going to apply that. And you'll see that all the census tracts now have been selected. I'm going to hit OK to finalize that. And then I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to go selection, zoom to selected features. And then I'm going to output the data, right? I'm going to export the data. And I'm going to use the selected features from the census tract layer. And then I'm going to select a location for that to reside. And we'll just call this Tulsa Tracts ASC or ACS, American Community Survey. And we'll hit save. And it said did not like that. And it looks like it didn't like it because it wanted to do it as a shapefile and not a feature class. And then I'm going to deselect things, clear selected features. And you can see here, this worked much like the clip did, but we didn't have a shapefile that was just Tulsa County. So we used a location query in order to separate the Tulsa tracts. Now let's open up the attribute table and take a look here. And what you can see is that we have all the different census tracts in Tulsa County, and the county code here is 143. Here's our 11-digit GeoID. And basically this is just a shapefile, and it just has the names of the file. It does have the area of the land, the area of the water, and some helper data like that. So, but what we're interested in is maybe looking at the population density in these census tracts. And to do that, we're going to have to join census data to it. Now, before I do that, I just want to right click here on the GeoID and get the properties for that field. And you'll see it's a string type field. And this is important because we want our data types to match. If they do not, we won't be able to do our join. Okay, let me just save this here. And I'm going to change screens for a moment, and I'm going to go to Microsoft Excel. Okay, and so in Microsoft Excel, I have the data file that we downloaded in a previous lesson. And what we did is we went to censusdata.gov and downloaded the American Community Survey for Tulsa County, all of the census tracts, and we got the population table, right? And so you can see there's a bunch of fields here They're all coded. That's by Census coding. And then we actually have two headers here, which is a problem when we bring it into ArcGIS. So we'll probably get rid of one of these. I think I'll just get rid of the second one here. Delete that. And then we have all the census tracts listed with their GeoID and their data. And because this is census community survey data, we have both an estimate number and a margin of error. And so I'm going to switch over to the other Excel file that I have that came with this data. And this tells us the codes for the headers, right? So there's tons of things. We're really just interested here in the total population for this exercise. So that's the first one, and then it's margin and error. But there's all sorts. You can see there's all sorts of fields here, and you can explore that when you get your data. All right. So going back now to the data file. Now, there are a few things we need to do before we can use this. So, we can change the title of the field here. We're going to change this to total population. And next one is total error. Now, we can also change these field names in ArcGIS, so we don't have to do it all now, but it might be handy to do it here. The other thing we need to do is we need to look at our GeoID here, and it has the long format, so we're going to have to make a new field and remove sort of the prefix to this. So I'm going to right-click here on this column, and I'm going to say Insert a column. And we'll call this one GeoID short. How about? And then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to create a formula for removing this the left portion of this data. And so I'm going to go in here, and you can select here text and what we're interested here is the write function, which returns the specified number of characters from the end of a string. So we go, okay. And then we say, all right, what field do we want? Well, we want A2, and we want the last 11 characters of that. We'll hit okay. And there you go. And I'm going to change the formatting here. I'm just going to take a look here. It's general right now. I'm going to make it write justified, and it's also a general format. So I'm going to change that to text, and there we go. And then now we have to copy that formula to the rest of the column. So I've copied that, and then here we go. I have to paste it in. There we go. And so you can see what that did was it got rid of our extraneous digits on the left of the long GeoID. So we can get it in the proper format when we do our join and get it into ArcGIS. Now I'm just going to save this file by doing a save as, and I'm going to save it as a CSV, and we'll just we'll call it ASC 2022 data, and we'll save that. All right. Now it's time to go back to ArcMap. There we go. All right. I'm going to turn off the other census tracts so it's a little clearer on the screen. And I've got our catalog open over here, which is handy. So I can go in here and find my file, and I saved it in here, I believe. There it is, ACS 2022 data. Okay. And I'm just going to drag this over to my table of contents. And I put it in there. I changed the table of contents view so I could see it. All right, so now I've got that table in. I'm going to open it up, and you'll see, all right, there it is. Right now, I want to do some checking here. So if I check this field's properties, oh, it came in as a double, not as a text. Well, that's not going to work. We're going to have it as a text. So what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to add a field in our attribute table. And to do that, I'm going to have to first save this as a table in ArcMap. So I right-click on that, and I'm going to go Data, Export. And then I'm going to export all the records, and I've got to save it as ACS Population Data 2022. So when I try to operate on that CSV file, it won't give me all the functionality that I would have on a native file. So let's open that up. Okay, here we go. And then I check this again. And it's still a double, right? But now on this one, I should be able to go down here to my little drop-down arrow and add a field. There it is. And so we're going to add another, a new field, which we'll call Geo ID match. And we're going to say we want it to be text. You can control the length of the text. We have 11 characters, so 12 ought to be adequate. And we'll say OK. And then what that does is it appends a new field, and it appends it to the end here, right? So you got it all the way down at the end. And you can see it's got null values. And so to get our double values into the GeoID match as text, we have to run the field calculator. It gives me a little warning here. I just say yes. And so GeoID match is going to be equal to GeoID short. So it's a very simple formula. We hit OK. And now that is entered there. And if I hit the properties, they should be string or text, and they are. So this should work for our join. If I go back over here, I just want to show you, we changed the headers in Excel. You can change the header here too by hitting properties. And then you see it has an alias. Okay, so I can just change it there. Okay. So you can change the headers in either file. All right, so that was a lot of processing that we had to do to get this into a format where hopefully we can join. Okay, so I'm going to go back now, and I'm going to take my Tulsa Tracks layer, and I'm going to go down to our joins and relates. I'm going to do a join. And join attributes from a table, and we're going to use our GeoID, and then we're going to use our ACS population 2022, and then we have to go all the way to the bottom here to find our GeoID match. I'm going to validate the join. Looks like it worked, so I'm going to say OK. All right, there we go, and then open up the attribute table. And what you'll see is that all of our census data now has been appended to the shapefile. So that's great. That's what we wanted, because now we can make maps from it, do additional geoprocessing. We really accomplished what we needed to do. And to just end this lesson with a little example of what we might do here is, like, let's say we want to see the population density by census tract. So I'm going to open up the properties here, and it's takes a minute to think. And then under symbology, We actually want quantities. And so the value here is the total population, and we can apply that. And you're going to get a map that looks kind of like this. And downtown Tulsa is right here, right? So the darker the color, the greater the population. But one of the issues when you show just raw population is that the census tracts are different sizes, right? And so you have to normalize. So let's normalize by the land area and then apply that, right? And we'll be able to see a more accurate measure of population density. And this is consistent with what I know about Tulsa population, which is we have higher densities in a few of the census tracts that have many multifamily properties, like in East Tulsa, down here along the south part of the river, and this tract in West Tulsa. You can see now the rural counties are much lower density. Now our units aren't properly specified here, but that's a minor issue that we can deal with maybe in a future lesson. So at any rate, you know, that was an example of how to add your census data to the shapefile we got from the tire line data. And this is something that will happen, I think, very commonly in our project. So I hope this was really useful. And next time, I'm going to expand our discussion about geoprocessing.